Thank you so much for joining me for this beautiful and inspiring landscape painting. This is a gorgeous painting that we are doing together in watercolor. Actually, if you love to try this in acrylic or oil, very welcome to do. But I would show you how you can work on this one with watercolor paint. Before that, I'm going to talk about the material that we have. First of all, which is important, I'm going to talk about the paint. So the watercolor paint, same as other materials like oil and acrylic, it comes like a tube. You can separately, one by one, purchase them. They're coming in different brands. Most of them has a really good quality. Actually, I use like Winsor Newton. I use PwC, and I use Daniel Smith, and all are gorgeous. So I'm really happy with quality of all of them. And even like St. Petersburg and different brands I use, I'm really happy with those. Some like Artist Loft, I use that. I'm happy with those. But the result after it gets finished is not really shiny. So maybe those kind of brand, um, I don't want to work again more with that. It's okay when you are using it as a beginning and starting of your painting, but during the time, if you feel happy for the watercolor, I recommend to buy the better quality. So you don't have to go one by one to purchase all these tubes because, of course, they're more expensive. You can go with a pack, like this kind of pack. It comes like a peel. They are ready to use. I purchased this one from Amazon. I think the brand is, if I'm correct, is St. Petersburg. I'm really happy with that. The pigment is a lot. So it's more than 11 years I'm working with those, and it's good. It's not finished. But just in case, sometimes the peel is get finished, you can just take it out, and then they have a number on it and the name of the paint. If you know, then you can purchase again these kind of things. So it has Winsor Newton has that kind of package. Daniel Smith has this kind of package. Different brand has. Most of them are really good. Even one of my in-person classes, I'm not sure which brand they purchased from Amazon, and it was gorgeous. It was the new brand. I didn't try that before, and it was gorgeous. It was really good in a pigment. And then you can have like a plastic palette. Has a plastic palette is inside this one. You can use this, or even I buy this one separately. This is the place for the watercolor, and it was empty at the beginning. And then I add all this paint with the tube. I started with the black, brown, green, and then blue. Then I add my purple, reddish color, and then move to the yellowy tone, and then again back to the green. So you can choose to have some design on your palette. And then this four side, this two and this big one is a perfect space for mixing the colors. If you don't have those, you can use something. This is a porcelain. Porcelain is good, but it broke. So sometimes people doesn't like that. You can go with porcelain. You can go with plastic. You can go with like the other things is ceramic. Ceramic is really good as well. Or sometimes dollar store has like a plate, the porcelain plate, and it's just $2-3. That's gorgeous to mix your paint on top of that. So you don't have to always purchase everything from the artist store. So these are about the paint, the palette. The other information that we need is, let me just put this aside. The other information is about the paper, which is important. Paper is specific things in watercolor. It's not like a regular paper. It's a little bit thicker than that. So there is some information. I have different brands. This is for Fontaine. I have Winsor Newton. I have like, let me bring it, Canson. And all the brands has different quality. The best one is Arches. And even this one is really good too. I cannot say the not good or bad. It depends on the information. Let's see. So we have some weight on a paper. If you see here, is 300 gram and 140 pound. Even we have here too. Most of the paper for watercolor has this information, how much the gram of the paper. It means that the thickness of the paper, and I think this is the best weight for the paper because the thickness is enough. We have less than this thickness, like 90 pound or something. It's really delicate. I don't say not good, it's delicate. You need to be a little bit gentle with the paper. We have more than this weight, so it's a little bit hard to work on it for some people. Just in case, you can try it and see which kind of weight of the paper is best for you. I'm happy with this amount of weight. And the other things is the texture that our paper has. If you find some texture, it's here. Yeah, cold press. Cold press, and even here, cold press, it shows that the paper has a nice texture on it, which is good for watercolor. If you love to work on a smooth, no texture paper, supposed to search for hot press. Hot press is very smooth, no texture on the paper. And if you feel more happy with heavy texture, you need to have a little bit like a rough texture, the paper name rough. So these three different kind of texture on a watercolor paper, I go with the middle of them, which is cold press. And the other things that would be helpful is the how much cotton the paper has. Like if you see here, it's 100% cotton. It shows that this paper has 100% cotton. If it's right, so right on your package that you purchased, it mentioned that 100%, so it shows that it's 100%. Even here, 100% cotton. If it's not right anything, that means it's 25% cotton. So the difference between 25% and 100% is sometimes the 100% can keep the water for a longer time on top. It depends on the technique you work in watercolor. If you like to work like wet on wet technique, it's better to go with 100% because can keep the water on top for longer time and you can overwork on your painting more relaxed. 25% cotton can easily dry. So this is about the information about the paper. And then we need the brushes. The popular brush in watercolor is round shape brush. But feel free if you feel happy to go with different kind of brushes, like filbert, like angle, like let's see, this is a filbert. This is round. All these are round in different size. This is like a Chinese brushes, which is very good. This is fan brush. If you see, it's nice for some texture in landscape. This is filbert. It's curve on top. And the other is a flat. This is a flat brush. It's just flat. So the other things, we have even Chinese brush. If you like to buy them, it's really good and can keep the water on top for a longer time and can work easily with them. So all these about the materials that we have, and everything is really good. As long as you have the materials, we can start. I really love to work more with round brush. I'm not, you can actually, I love work with different brushes, but most of the time for watercolor, I switch to the round brush. So, and we need the cup of water. We need the spray of water. We need rag or napkin to clean our brushes. And then we can start. So, oh yeah, I forgot to mention about one thing. Because we work with wet at the beginning on a painting, if you have a paper, not the block, this is the block. If you see, it's just come like a package together and all the paper stick together. You cannot remove them easily. It's a stick together like with a tape. So if you have those kind of block, you can work on it easily, hold this part of the paper, and then after you finish, you can looking for some empty spot, which is here, this from here. This part is, I can use the knife and very gently remove this paper. So I don't need to tape my paper to the board. If you work with a block that has just, you can spread, you can remove the paper or work on a paper sheet, you need some, like a board to stick four sides of your painting to the board with paper tape. Like for side, I mean like this side, this side, this side, and this side with paper tape. And that help your paper not move, bubble it not happen, and then easily you can wet the paper and nothing happen for your paper. So please tape your paper if you need. And then we have the paint around, we have the brush, water, and everything. So I'm not using a lot of drawing, but if you feel comfortable to do drawing on your paper, you can use the pencil. To use the quick drawing for this beautiful landscape. I have pen and pencil and just a regular paper to show you how you can use the drawing, and just a little bit I add to my paper. I don't want to add a lot. So for this beautiful nature that we have, I'm just going to separate the horizon line. And that's the only things I would go through. So I just separate the horizon line. In the model, half part is the top part of the landscape and the half is like for the water part. So just need to draw one line separation like this, really flat. And I do on my paper, the regular paper, darker to be more visible. But on a watercolor paper, feel free to do it very gently and not much dark. Because after you add the water and paint, the line be visible for you. So the other part, I'm not going through the details that we have on this landscape. We are doing everything with just the paint. So I just separate this big shape. If you see as a shape, this big shape, I'm going to separate it. And this big shape here, and then this big shape here. And that's it. Three big shape as a triangle. And just separate those to give me an idea. Then even this part, which is full of flowers, and the green part, even this kind of, I feel maybe pine tree, something like that. We are not adding those. It shows really busy. We are not going through all those details. And then another curve from the top part here, come down and come a little bit lower than your horizon line. And then add another line like this. And we need to remove this first line as a half. So remove this one. I erase it. So it divides into two different parts, the main things, but very lighter, just to give me an idea. I'm not doing on my watercolor paper very dark. Make sure not really make it dark. And even if you like to erase it before adding the water and paint on top, it's the best time to erase. The other main things that we need to separate it is this light part. That's it, this one. The whole big shape of that. And it's come a little bit on top of the second triangle shape that we add. So I'm going to start from here, make it a little curvy till the center, and then connect it with angle to the side of the paper. Something like that. Start from here, coming to the center, and then with a nice angle, connect it to the left side of the paper. Very simple shape. So we have 1, 2, and then 3. And I need to erase this line, which is not needed anymore. The line that I use for here, for this one. I erase that. I do the same on my paper. I draw very dark on my regular paper, but in my watercolor paper, it's very light. I don't want to be visible. If yours is really visible, would be okay, but you need to know that after you add the water and paint on top, it shows the line under your painting. If you feel happy, keep those lines. If not, a little bit with the eraser, make it just very gently erase on top and make it lighter. And be really light line to be visible. Just we need to see them to add the paint on top. That we start with the blue color. So the blue that I see, it's very light blue color and the cloud is really white. So I'm going to mix the paint. First of all, with my brush, I'm going to bring a little bit water in my palette. I choose the blue color that I would work on my sky. My blue is very light. I'm going to use that one. If you need the name, it's cerulean blue. But if you don't have it, doesn't matter. Cobalt blue and ultramarine blue is a good choice as well. So I just make it a little bit watery, runny, like that in my palette. We need to know before starting the watercolor, we are not using, actually me, I don't say everybody. Some artists like to use, some don't. I'm not a fan of using white color mixed with my watercolor, so I am not using white color. So in watercolor, if you need to make it lighter, you need to add more drop of water, make it juicy and watery. If you need darker color, you need very less water, more amount of paint. So this is watery because I need to be lighter. Prepare that. And then with other clean brush, I just wet the paper, just the sky part. A little bit drop of water on your sky part of the paper. Not everywhere, just the sky part. And it's better before adding the paint, have a napkin beside yourself. Or paper towel. Okay, and then take the blue, start from the top of the sky, apply on the edge of your paper, move your brush, design your cloud. Design your sky actually, not the cloud, because the cloud, it's really white. So we need the paper to keep as a white of the cloud. So I just go like that. The reason I wet the paper is because I don't want to see the hard edge. You see, it's so smooth here. And I would go very light and smooth. I don't want to see very hard edge in my sky and cloud. So I wet the paper first and then apply the blue color on the sky part. And then with the same blue color, come closer to the top of the shape that you make as a landscape. You just come down, add a little bit, and then let it fade to the top part of the white. So the top part of the sky and the bottom part need to be blue, and the middle side as a cloud need to be white. I did a little bit more, so I have a napkin to touch the paper and remove the extra blue color I add. Make sure not rub the napkin, just touch it take out like that, just like this. Touch the paper and then bring it up, something like that. I add a little bit green mixed with my blue. If you don't have any green, you can use the yellow color. As a primary color, we know yellow, blue, and red. We can get secondary color. Blue and yellow can make, if you mix them together, you can reach the green. Blue, red give you purple, and red and yellow give you orange. So this is the bluey color. And I'm going to add, with a small brush is easier sometimes. I'm going to add all these details here. It's like this side. So I'm going to start from the bottom part of the, between my heel. Very gently, I'm going to add. This time I'm not adding the water in my paper, and I'm not going with a dry brush. It has enough water. If you see, if I move my brush, you see how much water in it? Then that's enough. You can start apply on a paper. Make sure not to go very high because it's not much heavy. And I use the tip of brush at the same time because it shows the landscape on the stance. It's supposed to show that these are the bushes on the stance. So the top of the bushes is not really flat. I'm going with the tip of the brush to move a little higher and lower to design it. And then come the other side like this. You can just apply like this. And then a little bit green or yellow I would bring in between. So here a little bit more yellowy green, I add more yellow in center to show that this is more warmer green. Because the blue green is more cool, when you add more yellow in it, it shows that it's warmer. And because the small part I'm going to work, I prefer not to wet the paper at the beginning. I'm just going with the runny brush stroke. So I add more water in my brush. And then I'm going to cover whole this big triangle shape with watery brush. Even when you go with watery brush, it gives you time to be wet, still to apply the darker tone. So just make sure enough water to be on your brush. We need this section be still wet for adding some darker tone on top. I cover it with one value, which is lighter, and I go with the watery brush stroke, and then I'm going to mix a little blue and green on the other part of my palette at the same time to have darker green. And then I'm going to apply first as a line, like here on the bottom part to separate. Because I would show this is on top of the water, so I need to make it darker. And then after I make that darker, I'm going to use a side of my brush, bring it a little bit darkness as a bushes on top, just a little bit. Always have a napkin, because sometimes we see that we have a lots of water in our brush. Then you can clean your brush and then try to lift up some paint. I try, it moves really high. I just, with the clean brush, I just bring it on the other way to lift up like this. I play because it's wet. Give me a chance to still play with my surface to make it lighter and darker. Then I would go with a little darker here. When you apply with darker color, make sure less water, really less water this time. See, it's like a dry brush. The reason I go all this technique at the same time, because in watercolor, it's important to do first wet the surface and do wet this with the whole big shape, and then it need not to completely get dry and bring another layer, which is a darker layer. Because of that, I have to do it at the same time, but one section at a time. So I just, this was watery and the dark one is less water. And I come on top of the water part of the green, watery part of the green. So just try to separate these bushes with some brush stroke. Like that. And I think would be enough. So first, make the whole shape of the triangle watery green, and still the water give you time to add another layer, which is this dark one. Dark one is blue-green and a little less water, more pigment. And design a little brush stroke on top like that. And let it dry. Premix more, so I take more yellow, a little touch of green, and more water to premix. Even for the dark part, I need to premix more. So take more green, more blue, mix together to get a little darker tone. Even I can add some brown as well. Brown can make the colors darker and warmer. So I make these three colors ready. Still, I don't want to make it wet. Just for sky, I did wet the surface. For the others, I'm going to make the runny brush stroke. So this time I'm going to apply with a little darker tone here. It's really watery. I apply. Just make sure one section at a time. I just apply with the section I would go very gently. Little by little, bring it higher. Clean the brush. Move on with lighter tone, close to this. Make sure not to make all the parts greeny, because we need to apply with the pinky color too. So I'm going with other brush to bring pinky color. To brush, easier to work, and do some movement like that. Even you can come out a little with the tip of brush to design your flowers. Just randomly apply pinky color, and then we can come on top with some green in between. I just apply with this. And then back to the green. Bring some green in between the red color or pink color. And for details, I use more tip of brush.
what did you mix with the red?
I just bring the red rose. That's it. Nothing. I'm not mixing anything. Just the permanent rose. I just bring it here with the water. I don't mix anything. It's already was pinky color. Or even you can bring the permanent rose. Any pinky color you have. I'm not mixing with anything. Just I bring it aside on my palette and add a drop of water with that. That's it. After I apply with the pink color, just some tip of brush, add a little bit green in between. So I'm going to wet again the surface because it gets dry. And if I need again back to green, back to yellow, apply to have more. And then back to green again here, back to brown to make it darker. A little blue is fine to add to. So dark, light, both green. Clean it. I'm not make this triangle part wet. I'm not doing that. I just go with watery brush stroke. So in watercolor, we start from light color first and then apply with dark color. So I just cover whole this triangle shape with light green color. Maybe more light color, maybe more paint because it's very light. So I am going to add a little yellow in it. So I cover it. It shows the bottom part is like an angle. I don't let it dry right away. Take some dark green, bring it on the bottom part of my bushes. And if you see my brush stroke, little by little with the side of the brush, move my brush to make a little darker here. So if I want to be more dark, I need to go with the pure paint, very less water. So make sure this part is supposed to be dark, so less water, a little more pigment. So randomly, I'm going to add some dark color in between, like 1, 2, 3 brush stroke, like here and there. And then I keep it completely get dry. So make sure not to overwork in watercolor paint. Just keep it like that. So before move on to the flowers, I'm going to pretend this part is a water. Everything we see gradually we add as a details later, not now. So we are going to use the bigger size of brush. Again, for this big part, I'm going to wet all the paper and then I'm going to apply with the blue color. But before wet the paper, I'm going to separate the blue color here. I bring it, this is a darker blue. It's not much clean because I mix it with the green. So I just try to make it clean first. So this is a cobalt blue I have. I'm going to bring this cobalt blue here. And for the center part, same as sky, I'm going to bring cerulean blue. If you have just one blue, is fine. No worries. Just the blue, bring it the side and make it with the water to be wet. And then just with the clean water, wet the surface of your water part. Just make the whole this big part wet. with the clean water. After it gets shiny, it shows that it's wet. And then I'm going to bring this blue part from the top back and forth like this, brush a stroke, back and forth from top to bottom. Just with the blue, cover whole this water part. After you add all this blue, make sure not to completely draw, because right away with the clean napkin, I just would like to lift up some paint. Like here. I just pretend these are the place of the flower randomly, just add some, that's it. I just lift up with napkin to show that, I mean no water, that means very less and limited. You see here, I'm very dark now. I'm not using any water. The brush is very dark. So then I'm switched to small brush. First of all, let me show you here on a paper. I'm going to shape, first of all, in between, in my nature, everywhere you like, you can add just one line. Here I'm going to show you just one line like this. And then the tip is very narrow. Little by little, bring it randomly, make it bigger from both sides. Some like this. You can have some empty space in between as well. Something like that. So I'm going to use this part, one narrow line. You can bring the shape of the branches like this on top or like this on the bottom. It can be like the hand on top of the sky, just like that it can be, or the way I show you on the bottom part. But it looked like a triangle shape supposed to be. The top part very narrow, and then when it comes down, it gets wider. So the other way is like that. These are the leaves, the branches on bottom. The one which is on top is like that. But the point is just need to be very dark. So make sure to mix your paint with less water and let it be very dark, like this. And then the trees in between. You don't have to add as much as trees that the photo has. You can just cancel some, you can add more, you can change the place. That's your masterpiece. You can even do something that you like more. I'm going slowly, gently adding some here. I keep some empty space in between. I don't want to make it really dark. I like the nature that already has it in my paint, so I make a little in between be dark, be visible. So if you have white gouaches or if you have white acrylic, we can use those because the things that I mentioned is we are going to use acrylic and gouache in white color is because they're water-based medium. So same as watercolor, a little bit different, but even they're water-based. So I'm going to add the white color on one part of my palette. I'm going to use this palette for that. A little bit white I'm going to add. And then I'm going to mix, what is this? I'm going to mix any pinky color, red rose or alizarin crimson or permanent rose. Doesn't matter which one. You can have the rosy color here as a watercolor. Separately, we can just go with the rose, which is the dark part of the flower we need. And I'm going to mix some part with the white. Make sure if you mix some part with white, this white is acrylic. I need to clean the brush and then this part of the palette right away because acrylic has glue inside and can stick to the surface. So this is a light one, and even I keep the white as well. A little bit drop of water mixed with this. So now my paint is more opaque and can sit on top of the watercolor paper on a dark even part. So make sure the water part completely dry. And then we're adding this three color, white, pinky color, and then darker color. So I have already this mixture of white and pink, so I go with that one. If you see on a model, it's covered a little bit big size of flower in front. You can add as much as flower you like, but I'm not sure the name of this flower. Maybe it's a pink daisy. So we can just apply, this is like a oval shape. This is oval shape, this just on top part. I don't want one by one draw them. I just pretend that in front of my water part is covered with the flowers. So randomly I'm going to add like some shape like this. First of all, I just pretend a little bit like this shape. A little lining come on top to show that this is a kind of flowers. Even I have a napkin and water to clean my brush. I can bring some brush stroke a little darker in between. Just some brush stroke a little darker. And I can choose somewhere else, like here, with the small brush, I draw like a liney part, like that. And then I'm going to add the dark part in between. The dark part is just the paint, watercolor paint with no water to show that this is a dark, like that. It's like a line and then some separation line in between I'm going to add that pretend these are the flowers. Randomly, even one, these are even like a line and then separate some line. One here, you can just go like this, like that. Different shape. You don't have to go one similar shape for all of them. Like, let me draw here. First of all, I do like this, very big line like that. And then try to separate some petals like this. I try to show you in a paper which is a bigger size, like that. And then in between, bring some other color. For the other flowers like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Still, I'm not adding the green part under it. I just go with the flower petal. I would spread some flowers here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this. Some smaller, some bigger. Most of them is one side, the underside is a flat, and the top part just shows some petals. That's it. I try to use different size, large and small, at the same time. But I feel I'm okay. I don't want to make them busy with the flowers here. I have pure white color. A little bit brush stroke between the petals is nice to have white color as well. If you like to add, you don't have to. I just add randomly pure white color. Okay. Anytime you feel happy with the flowers, let it dry. We can move on for the stem and then the green part. We can actually make it more busy if you like. I can do that too. So there is some other teeny tiny flowers close to those, just like a bell flowers, very tiny. I don't know what's the name of them. We can add those too to make a little busy in front of the painting. And they're connect to the stem. That's that's the way they are connected. Okay. Just shape those. And then these are randomly add a brush stroke like that. Let me show here. Add some brush stroke like this. Like this. And then with a narrow line, you can connect them to the stem. Close to the flowers, randomly just play with your brush stroke. Like that. And I do here and there. I use darker color for petals and then mid-tone, which is light pink color, and randomly add some brush stroke with just a pure white acrylic on top. And then when I add the stem and then some grass, it's more getting closer to the model. Okay, so I'm going to mix some darker green again. And darker green is less water, more pigment with green and brown. You can add a little blue if you like to. With a smaller brush, we are going to add some stem. And this bottom part of the flowers, I don't know what it's called, but a little bit thicker. And then very narrow in between, we are adding the stem. You can pretend the stem of each flower where it's supposed to be. And then connect it to the bottom part of your paper like this. It doesn't need to be really flat and liney. It can be bending toward left and right because the nature is like that. You can add some stem bending toward the right and left and then add some, because the wind can move them. You can pass from one flower, please not come on top of that. You can just pass from the flowers and then continue from this part, the other part. And then even I can add some more randomly stem or not the grass still. I'm just adding some stem and add some details on top to show that some of the flowers are having the blossom. Still not any flowers on it, but small blossom. The round and pointy brush, it's easy to make the narrow line, but sometimes I'm really comfortable with the flat brush to do the side of flat brush, but feel free to use any brush which is comfortable for you to make the line. So the wave I'm going to add, I'm not adding on this part. I'm just adding under this part, which is a darker, and then here, and that's it. If you have flat brush, it's easier to do. If you have just round brush, doesn't matter. You can go with the round brush as well. So I go with this flat brush. Again, make the darker color, the green, brown, and the blue. And this time I try less water, as I mentioned, to have a darker color. The flat brush, I mean, because we can move it like this side. If you go with a round brush, make sure to be lining. So I'm going to start from here, exactly on the bottom part of that nature, randomly bring some line like that. And then even I can go from a side like this to separate. I just would like to pretend that even with this, like with the side of the brush, you can do randomly like this, a little darker, and then let it go. You don't have to make really heavy dark line, but I would go that this is the like a wave on top, and then some line randomly come a little bit close to the flowers as a line, just very liney, like this, like a wave, because we would like to show this is on the movement of the water. And the same, I am going not much busy like the front. This is the most busy because it's front of us. A little bit at the end, I'm going to add just a bit, like here, a little bit here, a little bit here, but brighter. Not very dark, same as the one which is close to us. Even you can go like a zigzaggy shape. And I think it's enough. We don't need to add more. So this was the last things we add. And I feel, yeah, we are done actually. Yep, I feel it's nice.